All right, come on in here, guys. Come on in here. We have got to talk about the Karen Huger verdict. Hey, guys, it's your legal bestie, attorney Simone, and we are here live talking about breaking news. Karen Huger from Real Housewives of Potomac was just sentenced to effectively a year in prison. And she has been taken into custody. When taken into custody, they put them handcuffs on that girl. She hollered, "I love you, Ray." She hollered, "Love you, Ray. God's got you. You'll be all right. God bless you." Child, we are going to talk about it. We're going to break it down. I got my little beverage here, which is on brand. Everyone is in shock. Everyone is in shock. So I'm going to give you the backstory. I want to answer any questions in the chat. I know. Y'all, I am a real lawyer. Let me go ahead and put that in there because some people, I don't think y'all think I like just be playing around here. But no, I am a real lawyer. I have handled DUIs. Here we go. Let me do it. I have handled DUIs. I am surprised. We're gonna get the backstory. Nisha Gordon says she got to go to the clink clink. My guess, tell me in the chat what you thought would be the sentence would be. And I'm gonna give you the backstory. We're gonna talk about how we got here. And then there's some legal tea that people aren't really talking about. They're going to talk about it now that we're doing this video, right? And they're going to repeat what I've said. But Karen Huger's, Karen, we all know she took this to trial with that crazy video where she was also telling the police, "You are white and you are poor, and I am Thomas Jefferson's concubine." You know what? Where is my wig? Hold on, we're going to talk about her wig in a second. But for right now, because the wig is going to jail with her, as it should, because that was truly an injustice as well. The wig goes with her. Now, I hope up underneath there she's got the cornrows going. But we're gonna talk law first. And then So Sarah asked, weren't the prosecutors asking for 6 months? Absolutely. So here's the tea. Initially, so this is Karen's fourth DUI. And I have to say, from the jump, she is very blessed because number one, she hasn't hurt or killed anyone. This one, the reason it was in particular treated so seriously because this is her fourth DUI. And also the prior ones, she got probation every time. So first mistake, second mistake, third mistake, you haven't learned your lesson. You haven't learned your lesson. And this happened in Maryland. She really lucked out because this should have been charged or could have been charged as a felony. Why? In the state of Maryland, if you have multiple DUIs as she's had within 10 years of each other, it could have been charged as a felony and she would have been facing far more time. Here, her last DUI was 2011. Now, mind you, she got 5 DUIs within 6 years. I'm sorry, within 5 years. Sorry. Within 5 years, she had 3 DUIs. 5 years, 3 DUIs. My hair, what is this happening? And so the last DUI, though, was in 2011. This DUI was 2024. Had it happened in 2021, it would have been charged as a felony. And it was particularly taken seriously because she was wrapped around a tree. She created a serious accident. Not to mention, this lady is so rich. Why don't you have a driver? Ray don't seem to have anything else to do but love on you. Ray could have drove you. Ray came up there in 2 seconds. So many people are like, why not Uber versus you? This is so preventable. Now, I'm going to read back to you some tweets from in the courtroom. So she has been sentenced to 2 years, 1 year suspended. So what that means is she'll only have to serve a year in prison. I say prison, but when you have a year or less, they allow you to serve it at jail, the local county jail, which would be easier for Ray to come visit, etc. She is also given 30 days to appeal the sentence, and she has up to 90 days to file a motion to ask the judge to reconsider. Here's what I would advise my client. Take your behind in there, pull your little wig off. You got to give it, to the security department, the intake department, because it could be a weapon. But you're going to go in there, you're going to be on your best behavior. You're going to participate in any and all programs that could be related to people with substance issues or grief or therapy. And you're going to be a very, very good girl for these next 30, 60, 90 days while you're asking the judge to reconsider, because he might be willing to reconsider after you've served some time. The issue is that you've had no consequences, it appears, right? Because the prior consequence was simply probation. And now you are, and now you've allowed your behavior to escalate. We got a great question on the floor, which is, if a year is suspended, will they have to serve it later? No. So here's how that works. She's going to do the 1 year. Sorry, my hair is doing whatever it wants. She's going to do the 1 year. And then basically she's on probation for the second year. Now she asked for a totally suspended sentence, but she's got 1 year of jail. She's going to have 1 year of probation. If she violates at any time during the year of probation, she can be sent right back into the clinker. Now I have to say, when it's a DUI charge, that suspended sentence criteria that you have to make to stay on probation is really intense. It's going to be one of those breathalyzers on your car and or a suspended license. It's also going to be alcohol testing. So you're going to have to do drug testing, but also alcohol testing. For an alcoholic, that's difficult, because the truth is, in jail, she can get some of that hooch. They make that little nasty hooch with fermenting apples and fruits and all that stuff. Why did Ayanna ask, does she get credit for that 1 day she sat in jail? Yes, Ayanna. Ayanna said she's going to run the county. She's going to run county jail. She probably will. Yes. So part of the issue was the judge did not feel she had sufficient remorse. I'm going to add here, there's a influencer. There's an influencer called We Go Podcast who was in the courtroom. And I am going to read back to you some of her tweets when she live so that we can get a picture of how this happened. Because, baby, people were shocked, honey. Here we are, scrolling back. All right, so we started out. Karen's lawyer gave a statement from Karen to the judge that the judge read silently. Wego says she has eyes on Ray. Her cousin that was on the show was also there. And she can confirm that she does have the 316 hair in with the black roots. Now, I don't have my roots aren't black, but I'm going to read this with my Karen on. Now, this is my Baps wig. It's got a little. Okay. This is my Baps wig, and I'm going to read this as I do. And my Baps wig, this is my ode for the 613, as you can see here. It says her lawyer is presenting reasons to the judge why she went to the type of recovery center that she went to. He said, you have to make it appealing for people to step away from their everyday lives, sort of like an incentive to get help. Excuse me? Now, mind you, Karen fired her prior lawyers and has now hired this person. I'm going to tell you, the arguments regarding rehab, I believe they set strongly with the judge. And I'm going to tell you why I think the arguments her lawyer made were stupid. Coming from a girl who's been to a very crappy rehab and then like a nicer one. Anyway, keep in mind, Karen was initially offered a 60-day sentence. That was, oh my God, this is itching me. I'm sorry, I got to take this off. Karen was offered 60 days in jail and she declined it. But here's the thing. Many were like, why did she decline it? Blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. When you're a woman like, no, there were no cameras in the courtroom. And when you're a woman like Karen, you're going to take it to trial if your only option is jail. Because Karen, she believes that she's above jail. She absolutely does believe it. Now, mind you, generally with county time, it's 3 for 1 in most counties. Meaning every day you serve, you get credit for 3 of them. So if she had a 60-day sentence, she'd likely only have to serve 20 of them. Sometimes you can even get like special situations where you're able to go to work and then come back and check back in the evenings, or you do weekend jail, what have you. But she was offered 60 days. That's why she went to trial. Everybody was like, why would you go to trial with a video like this? Because she felt she couldn't do 60 days. Well, baby, if you couldn't do 60 days, I can only imagine how she feels about now having to take a year. Yep, having to take a year. I'm going to continue reading tweets from the courtroom. Her lawyer was presenting reasons why she went to the type of recovery center she went to. Now, I said this previously. Karen refused, straight up refused to go to rehab prior to trial. I believe that was one of her biggest mistakes, because that says, I don't have a problem. Girl, you got a big problem. And now that problem is going to persist for at least a year while you're sitting your bottom in jail, wigless. Oh my gosh, y'all. Her mugshot. Oh my gosh. The new mugshot, because she's going to have to get another mugshot as she enters the jail and the prison system. Lord have mercy. Well, listen, I had said in the beginning, my advice, whenever I have clients that call and have more than one DUI, I said, okay, you need to go straight to rehab. Do not pass go, blah, blah, blah. Obamacare now covers rehab, inpatient. You have to get a pre-approval, but it will cover inpatient, especially if you've been criminally arrested for DUI. Many don't realize that. So what I would have said is, we're going to go off the list. We're going to pick one of these places. And yes, you don't want one that's going to seem too fun, but as well, you got to be careful, because a lot of these people are court ordered, and you don't want to be up in there with a bunch of convicts. Trust me, I was. Now, the one I went to, they were complaining with Karen's that there were too many amenities. There was equine therapy, private chef, private meals, massage. Mine had all of that. We also had court-ordered people there. That's actually standard now with rehabs that are not the court run or the public run. So there's public and private rehabs. The public ones are literally the ones that inmates generally go to. Then the private ones that are insurance subsidized, health insurance subsidized, thanks to Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. All of those now have those amenities. Why? Because people have choice. Cash pay, those rehabs are about $1,000 today. I know mine was. Everyone knows I have ADD. I went for ADD to rehab, which is why I don't really take my medicine now, in a whole nother story. But equine therapy, all of that is normal. I would have argued, if I was her attorney, number one, I would have sent her straight to rehab, and not for no 30 days. She would have went to 60 days, and then she would have gone into what's called sober living. When you do that, when you pre-punish yourself, a judge is going to be more lax. Also, prosecutors might have been more lax. Or you can get a DUI sentence that is to go to treatment. That's happened before. The problem is, and why this judge had to give her time, she didn't even want to go to rehab. The only reason she went to rehab, and everyone knows it, everyone in that courtroom knew it, was because she wanted to try and get a lighter sentence. That's not good enough, because that is the opposite of taking accountability. Now, it also says she went to a place that was called Right Turn for 48 hours. It's a place with rooms meant to look like jail cells, so she could experience what it's like. She also has a continuing relationship with her therapist. Girl, what? This is not Scared Straight. Ma'am, you are 60. You're going to go to see what jail is like. That's not a punishment. I want to see what her lawyers look like, because I know they don't look like the jurors of the county, I'll say. I would be surprised. That is also so tone deaf to say for 48 hours she's going to go to a fake jail and see the experience. Because it can also be read to be like, well, maybe she's doing this to prep, knowing I'm about to send her behind to the clinker. This is not Scared Straight. That is the dumbest argument. She should have taken that bottom straight to rehab, done rehab for at least 60 days. Because here's the thing about rehab. You have doctors in there the whole time, and you can get dual treatment for grief and treatment for this or that. Her underlying issues, she claimed, were grief from the death of her parents, as well as an SA that occurred while she was in college. Understandable. You've had 60 years and 3 DUIs to start working on those things. That is not a legitimate excuse. It also says she signed up to participate in a program. This was all what was revealed in the courtroom. She signed up to participate in a program where she had a handheld breath device. It will require her to blow 4 times a day. The results go to whoever she chooses. Again, as an attorney, girl, don't nobody care. at this point. Sorry, my hair is doing whatever it wants. Nobody cares at this point because that's what you should have done all while you were waiting for trial. All while you were waiting for trial. And after hours, you should have hired a driver. Maybe I would have hired a driver and said, this driver, we have this company on retainer for any drives that she needs after 6 p.m. or after dark. And then I would have submitted to the court receipts for that, monthly invoices for that says while she's coping through things, don't you worry, Your Honor, she will not be on the roads of Baltimore. Michelle says, where's the proof that she went to rehab? They didn't show Karen walking in the building. I think whatever was submitted, it was sufficient enough where the prosecutors said, even if she went to rehab, we don't care because that place was a resort. And some of them are. I would have argued, hey, Your Honor, the reason in part where we had to go send her to a more exclusive rehab is because she is a high profile person. And we have concerns about maintaining the confidentiality, HIPAA, and the other things related to, her confidentiality, as well as she would be a target. So that is why you have more exclusive, like the Palisades is a very exclusive one in Vegas and California. So that could be argued, but these arguments were not persuasive and were really, really tone deaf. And when you got a person on camera talking about she's Thomas Jefferson's concubine and you are poor and white to a police officer, the issue of I'm above the law is super serious. Now, it also says, okay, Ray got ready to testify. Ray said the kids were a little hurt by this. Her lawyer asked if Ray was aware of everything that Karen has done in the past few months to get help. He said yes. He told the judge Karen's doing very well and has recovered from the accident. Karen is crying. Nobody cares if Karen's doing well. It's actually better to say she's not doing well. She's very apologetic. She's embarrassed. She really wants to turn her life around. Ray is 77. Okay, and they said Ray looked good in the courtroom. Her lawyer says she's a good person, that she has been gracious through this experience. He's asked the judge for a suspended sentence, 3 years probation, AA twice a week, and to make therapy a condition. And it's one of the things she didn't hear, which was probably the little breathalyzer thing on the car. I say you give up your license. Add in there, give up your license for a year. It says the prosecution really isn't buying the reason given for Karen choosing the recovery place that she chose. I believe it for the reasons I already addressed. When it looks too much like a resort, if she would have picked a place that was covered by her insurance, she could have said that this is what we could afford. It was covered by insurance. I think a judge would be a lot more likely to accept that reason versus, well, Your Honor, it has to be a nice place to incentivize the person to go. No, sorry, I don't mean to yell at y'all. The reason you go to a rehab is when you are sorry, remorseful, and believe you have a problem. If you have to incentivize someone with freaking equine therapy, how do you know they're doing it for the right reasons and not say want to go ride a horse, go to a resort, have a little vacation time? Ciao. Prosecution was then running down other offenses and said something has to give. She understands giving people second chances, but this would be her fourth chance, the prosecution said, and that she got second chances. Karen got to speak in. Karen apologized for bringing this to trial and stated she was arrogant in thinking that she could handle alcohol. Was that the only thing you were arrogant for, Miss Condom? The judge is then reading Karen's actions on that body camera footage to filth, honey. To filth. The judge said Karen is no stranger to drinking while driving on our roads. The judge said when she got a PBJ, which is probation, and it's probation for a DUI in 2007, no one would think Miss Huger learned her lesson because in 2008, before the ink was dry on the probation, for the prior 2007 offense, she was arrested again. He also said Karen had the hang of working the system, baby, prior to 2011. All warnings went in one ear and out the other, and she remained undeterred. The judge said, how about a program without a summer connotation? How about a program that doesn't feel like vacation. Because what did we say? Yeah, so she said, I think Karen's going to jail. The judge sentenced Karen then to 2 years, 1 year suspended, meaning only 1 year in jail. She can get out for good time. It's going to be in county. County, they usually give you 3 days credit for serving 1 day. And then Karen has 30 days to appeal the decision, 90 days to ask the judge for reconsideration. And they are taking her into custody and did. They took her into court, into custody. And as they did, she yelled, "Love you, Ray. God's got you. You'll be all right." The judge was not with her foolishness. The judge was not. So Karen Huger is going to have to do so. And let me explain, this is how the appeals process is going to work. She's going to do at least 30 days before any new news. I say that because she's got 30 days to file her appeal, but then it's going to take time for that appeal to get heard. And she's also got up to 90 days to file a reconsideration motion. I'm sure she's going to immediately file that reconsideration motion. If I was her attorney, I'd say, no, ma'am, Grand Dame, let's wait. We need to wait at least 30 days. You need to give me time to show you've been a good girl. If you file for reconsideration today, you're telling the judge, no, judge, you were wrong. Let me tell you, one thing judges don't like you telling them is that you know better than them. So what you're not going to do is tell a judge he was wrong when he just made this decision. There was nothing missing from his consideration. Who going to do Karen's wig? I don't know, but maybe y'all can mail her some. See if they can. I don't know. It's the local jail. I get this. Yeah, give her peace. This was her 4 DUI. Hit that like button, guys. We've got over 500 watching, and we've only got 153 likes in the chat. So again, I think Karen's best bet, file that reconsideration motion after about 30 days, where she can get a letter from someone, maybe one of the therapists or counselors within the prison, to say she's been going to rehab, she's been doing her stuff, she's going to continue to do it, and then use that to say, okay, Your Honor, what about 6 months? Can we get this down to 6 months? Because that's all the prosecutors were asking for anyway, Your Honor. I believe the judge sentenced Karen to 1 year in jail because he knew she would get out for good time. Remember, good time in county jail, you usually only do 1/3 of your time. So with 1 year, that would be, what is that? 3 months. 4 months, correction, 4 months. I think the judge knew that, and that's why the judge went hard. Also, the judge went hard because really, this should have been a felony. Because under Maryland law, if you've had multiple DUIs within a 10-year span, it can be treated as a felony. It is treated as a felony. Now, because her prior DUIs were these probationary dismissals, they did not count towards that. Oh, and let me tell you guys, don't forget, in the same way that I'm giving you this kind of legal strategy, legal advice, you can always schedule with me at SimoneRedwine.com. You can go to my page, SimoneRedwine.com. Yes, I'm a real lawyer. Consultations with me start at just $149 for half an hour. You can also go to the top of the page, get my book, Background Checks 101, The Beginner's Guide to Finding Out Who You're Really Dealing With, for only $19.99. So you can get both of that there. But this strategy, but let me tell you something. Karen fired her prior lawyers. And I'm pretty sure because she just didn't want to do what they told her to do. They told her to go to rehab. She said no. That's how you end up with a year in jail. When you don't listen to your lawyers who have been doing this because you are above the law. When your lawyers tell you, go to rehab, Karen, before trial, and you say, no, I don't want to, then you have to take whatever sentence you're going to get. Now, rehab would not have prevented her necessarily from going to trial, unless what rehab can do is change the offer on the table. And you need more than 30 days in rehab. You really need more like 90. So if there was a 90-day rehab, it's very likely perhaps the prosecutor could have said, all right, we can do another sentence contingent on these very difficult things. Yes, Karen should have pled guilty and went. Karen didn't want to plead guilty again because she would have had to do 60 days in jail. But again, county time, you do a third of that. So it would have been more like 20 in and out. I think ultimately she didn't want to take that plea, as she was really riding the wave that it wasn't how it looked. And it was not until that footage became public that old girl started to act somewhat remorseful. She acted like she was the victim and that, oh, the truth will be revealed. Girl, all I saw is that you was I about to say Howard Johnson's concubine. You were Thomas Jefferson's concubine. Furthermore, taking that plea likely would have prevented that body cam footage from being public. It's not guaranteed, but it likely could have helped. And that is going to change the public's perception of her. Also, I've seen commentary that talked about how, Karen gypped out on the reunion. No. Karen didn't have a choice. It's my understanding that reunion was filmed after her trial, right? It was after her trial. She either had to go to rehab or go to tape the show. Because what happens with rehab is if you leave before your time is up, you are considered having left, violated the doctor's orders. It's a violation in the same way that's a probationary violation. It would have showed to the judge that she's not taking this seriously. So there's no way, if in fact it was filmed after her trial, which it was, and filmed during the period where she was assigned to rehab, there was no way she could go. Remember, she also asked the judge to postpone the sentencing for a month so that she could complete rehab. You can't ask the judge to do something like that and then be like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to take a break from rehab to go shoot a little episode. No. And having been at rehab, I was a whole lawyer at rehab for my ADD, right? You're not allowed to have your phones. You're not allowed to have unsupervised computer time. I would have there was some deadline coming up and I had co-counsel take over. I had to go to a special room, have access to a business phone and a confidential room to get those calls done. So if they're not going to play with a lawyer and give me off of rehab to go, to court, they're not going to do that for Karen to film a show. She is in custody. She was immediately taken into custody and now has to deal with the repercussions of her actions. So Karen is in jail. She's in custody. You can, if you'd like to send her fan mail, I'll see if I could look up the address and post it to my community tab. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Karen is in jail. She can appeal this decision, but she's going to have to do it behind bars. They took her into custody. And as a result, she's going to have to do at least 30 days before she can ask the judge to reconsider, even to get the appeal heard. So she's going to be appealing from jail. There are some cases where you can appeal and not be locked up, but she was taken into custody today, baby. Yeah, Jay, there's rehab for ADD. Well, I wanted to go. I don't know anyone else who's been, but everyone else was like, why are you there? And I remember it was like, oh, it was Adderall. And they were like, did you put it in your butt? I was like, no. They're like, did you smash it up and sniff it up your nose? I was like, no. I was just working too hard. They're like, oh, why are you even here? Because everybody else was like crack, meth, opiates. Mine was so uncool. Can they mail her wigs? Let's try it. I think we should. Anne says, I want to see the court footage. There's no court footage, unfortunately. But let me know if you have any final questions in the chat. Oh, I want to give a special shout out to my makeup artist, Moni P on Instagram. She actually does these one-on-one virtual makeup classes. This makeup, virtual. She taught me how to do it virtually. That's why I got my little background over here. So definitely schedule with her. It was an amazing experience. I will be back this evening at 5:00 Central with Vanessa from Reality Podcast, breaking it down and because she knows all the tea about Karen. And we're going to go into this in some depth. I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew she's going to jail for at least a year, unless the judge chooses to reconsider. And she's got 90 days to ask for that. And I don't see a judge reconsidering unless she shows excellent behavior while she's in there, that she is remorseful, and that she's in there in a rehab program, doing therapy, doing all the stuff she's supposed to do. And no, you can't wear wigs in jail. They're considered weapons. On that note, I'm your legal bestie, Attorney Simone. Thanks for tuning in to Girl, Is that legal? Feel free to share this if you want to cite this. I just asked. You just tag me on YouTube. Thanks.